AMC is in a very interesting spot here as we kind of trend around the bottom, hovering just under that 283 support level, right? Closing at 282. This could be a spot where we see a potential bounce. Sellers have been in that ultimate control after buyers found that break of this descending range, a gap, and continuation. But once we hit that long-term resistance, guys, we came all the way back down to the floor. And it looks like we are slightly trending under the floor here. Today, we do see a little bit of indecision, and we do see a bit of a holdup at this spot. So should we expect buyers to gain that control and push stock back up? Or is it time that sellers get that retracement back down to that 260 level? All right, guys, kicking this analysis on the weekly time frame. The reason we've been seeing this drop is very much fundamentally. Yes, from a technical standpoint, the stock has continued to fall. It's a very, very beat up stock. But as of more recently, we continue to have bad box office revenue and continued shareholder dilution. So stock continues to struggle fundamentally, and it is leading us to a lot of back and forth on the chart here as we trend to this 260, right? We've hit that bottom of 238. That's where we found that nice bounce and big run up all the way to that $11 level, kind of like we've been covering in the past AMC videos. And we come back down here, chop around a bit between that 4 and that 5. We come back down to the floor. We get that double bottom. Buyers find a nice move up, get a smaller retracement, nice move up again, and we get that full retracement. So yes, we found that double bounce, but there's still a lot of indecision. What we could be seeing is stock kind of hang around here, avoid the floor, possibly go low, but not hit that floor, continue to try to rise up. And you can see kind of a pattern going on here as we kind of descend. We've gotten that nice move up. We tried to get back up there. We couldn't get as far up, kind of close around that 360 high, and then we get a full retracement, right? So what we could be seeing is another attempt at the buyers to gain that momentum, gain that steam, but we end up closing lower again, correlating with this descending pattern and then kind of getting to the floor. But we've been seeing a lot of back and forth, and this support has held up pretty nicely in the overall picture of things. Trending back to the daily here, we have that nice move up, around a 50% movement in a short amount of time, right? That didn't take us a long time to get there. We kind of had an energy building phase within that 260 to 283. Then we got that nice move up, continuation, and very nice green white bar, shifting momentum and gapping up and going. But then we hit that long-term resistance, and this is what I want to touch up on, guys. This long-term resistance that was created around that 550 level has been extremely stubborn. So once we hit that level and create that level, we see a big movement down. Sellers in that ultimate control. We're talking about around 7 days of seller control. And then buyers try to step in here. We see a bit of sideways price action. Try to recover here, but you just see all the indecisive candles. Buyers not in that ultimate control, right? They try to get that move up, but no strong body candles and a lot of back and forth. And that's where sellers gain their move, continuing to push stock downwards into this descending pattern all the way down to that bottom that we're touching up on, guys. And then from that bottom, we got that nice move up around that 50% movement, almost a full retracement of that movement, holding slightly higher at that 280 level, got that nice movement up, and then we hit that exact resistance once again. So we see once we hit that resistance, we get shut down very quickly, leads us to a longer descending move. And what do we see once again, guys? Hit that resistance and we get shut down into a longer descending move. This time we don't have any back and forth though. That is the bad bearish sign and the telltale that we're seeing with AMC. We got shut down about 7 candles in a row. Then we found a little bit of back and forth and continued to get shut down after that. Here we see, very nice move up, shut down very aggressively, kind of mirroring that candle there. Then we see a bit of back and forth, right? The sellers are in that control, but we see buyers try to break the structure one time here, twice here, and then successfully for the 3rd time right here. And then we get out. This time, guys, we're seeing, seller price action and that ultimate control with buyers really not in this fight whatsoever. On the more recent candle closure here, guys, we have a bit of indecision. We have a doji candle, that being a smaller body in the middle, a top wick, and a lower wick. As we see, we got slightly under that support level that was so strong, right? We could be looking at more micro support levels, talking around that 278-ish level. We've seen that level in play as resistance here, that rough level. If we can't find a bounce sooner than later, we could be seeing a continued drop to that 260. We're seeing 12 red days in a row. So has found these nice pockets where it can get that buyer pressure, right? Bulls in that control. What I gotta say is AMC is very reactive. Once we find these resistance levels and support levels, it likes to react. Once AMC has found its resistance levels, it reacts sharply. So like we see right here, that's a prime example. Find this harder resistance that we formed over a couple times now, and we keep crashing down harder than last time. I think that buyers do try to make their move. Testing these highs right around this rough level. We'll be testing around that 295 to 294-ish level, being a very prominent spot where we saw right? Big move, a break, and big move to the upside. Right here, kind of getting over that level, leading to a very nice wide green bar and continuation. And then right here, an obvious resistance point, right? A mini bounce here, testing around that zone, rough levels. And if we can get past that, could be seeing a little bit of a move to that $3 psychological level. But we could also be using that point as resistance and continue to shut down. So I think we could be seeing a little bit of a mini bounce here. We've seen harsh seller progression over the last couple of weeks here after hitting that major resistance. So from the long and medium term picture, if we continue to have this resistance be a problem, it's not going to be good for the stock, as we're going to continue to trend in a downwards manner, try to trend up. We have to keep in mind this resistance that we'll be following. And as long as this is in play, guys, I do stand, long term bearish on the stock, not just because of this one pure resistance zone, right? Any resistance can be broken, but because of how beat up AMC is, buyers finding these smaller moves up. Very nice move here, but buyers really not finding that good control that they need and that nice continued uptrend that they have to find. So a very clear descending pattern in the long-term picture here. As long as this resistance is in play, I think that we keep on, retesting it. Doesn't look like we're getting a break anytime soon, as every time we come up here, we quickly reject. Here we hold around that range for about 4 days, but then we quickly reject. All right, guys, on the hourly, we see a bit of a better perspective on that rejection, right? Once we get that gap up, we see a nice continuation. See that sellers try to step in here, make their move. We hold at that 310 support level, continue our movement up. And this is where we see the tests of that resistance, right? That being 2 real good tests of that resistance. And we kind of just hold lower, almost get to that level, hold lower, try to get back up, right? Hold lower. And then we find our rejection all the way down to the floor of that 283. So pretty weak attempt out. We did try to get that break. Really not enough buying pressure and volume in there to really push that move up and break through that resistance. As if we did break through that resistance, we'd be looking very good for the bulls, as that's held us up for a couple times now, and that's brought major downside after rejection. And this is nothing new. This is doing exactly what the last 2 times did after we rejected off that point. If we look a little bit closer on when we got to that support level here on the hourly, not a lot of buyer interest. Once again, right, we see a lot of buying pressure right here, but we do go back to the floor. Buyers try to play around on that range. We get flushed down. Buyers try to get up, and now we see that past support turn into a bit of resistance. We can't quickly get back above that and find that support again and then look for that bounce back up and push us to around that $3 psychological level. But as of right now, definitely leaning bearish until we can reclaim that 283 level. All right, guys, so AMC is definitely in a tough spot here. Sellers have dominated as of the last couple of weeks. We are in an overall descending motion, and this resistance has really put up a lot of fight for the bulls with AMC. So if we can't quickly reclaim that 283 as support, we are looking pretty prone to the floor of 260, where that would be right around the all-time low area. So if we could break that 260, bears really in no man's land, going down to all-time lows. If we do get that bounce, watch for that buyer aggression and volume to really surge in here, as after we've gotten those big movements, volume has really dried up. Not doing much of anything right now, just staying kind of constant. So you definitely want to see a big spike in volume if buyers try to reclaim that momentum. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know your price predictions for AMC in the comments below, both short and long term. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. If you guys want to continue to see AMC content, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, trade smart. And I'll see you all in the next one.